I'm India Brown,
And I'm Sidney Wilson.
and we are two Southern gals making it in the big city world where we both work on a Broadway show.
And this is our podcast, Social Cues, a show where we put away our show scripts and stage blocking.
And have real conversations about how it feels being professional performers in a lucrative industry.
One topic at a time. Hi.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to Social Cues.
I'm India.
And I'm Sydney.
We missed you guys.
You did. I missed being here in Brooklyn.
Yes.
What's going on?
You know, living a dream. No.
Yeah.
Easygoing day.
Yeah.
I actually had a moment where I was able to lay down on the couch, read a little bit of my book. I felt like a pastor for a second where, you know how you got to study the word. With any word that leads you, you got to study it and, do your research to kind of tie it in to make it plain for the people you're going to minister to. So that's what I was doing.
Okay.
Felt good.
Little research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm good. My morning was good. I did a little self-tape for voiceover work, which I haven't really gotten into before, but it's really exciting. And I love anything where it's low maintenance, so I don't have to get ready and get dolled up for the tape or for the audition. Sometimes it's nice to just be able to have your space and just kind of sit down and do a little something, and it sounded really good.
Right.
And I sent it over, and the agent was like, "Great, sounds good. Like, you did great." I was like,
peasy.
"One take wonder."
Done. I know that's right. Come on,
So,
that's where the magic lies. When you're comfortable in your own space.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So today's topic is a heavier one.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of diving. We're not diving in too deep because we had another topic that I was like, I don't think I'm
not ready for
that yet. Like, I really want to sit down and do research, but this one hits close to home.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And
so
as it connects,
I found the definitions.
Yes.
So imposter syndrome is kind of derived from the term imposter. And according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, imposter is defined as one that assumes an identity or a title not one's own in order to deceive. And if you look up imposter syndrome itself, let's look it up. Imposter syndrome is the condition of feeling anxious and not experiencing success internally, despite being high performing in external, objective ways. The condition often results in people feeling like a fraud or a phony and doubting their abilities. Ooh,
tell me an artist who hasn't experienced this.
Hello.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So, what are your feelings?
Well, okay.
Have you ever had
a lot
imposter
of things.
syndrome?
100%. I think first off, that imposter syndrome can stem from a lot of different things. I think it can stem from or have some correlation or ties to perfectionism and to having high standards, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I think when you hold yourself to or are held to unrealistic expectations, that it can sometimes lead to just a lot of confusing feelings, especially surrounding performing and in our industry, especially because we get a ton of validation and a ton of criticism. And so balancing that, I've definitely dealt with imposter syndrome specifically in, like I was speaking in the intro last week, in starting this show and doing this show at such a high caliber or level right out of school. It feels directly connected to imposter syndrome and feeling like out of all of my peers and people who I know and who work so hard and work alongside me and have worked and done other things that, why did I get this? Like, why? I'm not good enough. I mean, I just got out of school. There are people, and people will tell you too, like when you start to share your testimony or your story, like people being like, wow, that's really crazy. You auditioned for 3 months. You think that was long? Like, I've been 3 years, 5 years, went on tours, come back. Like, so you feel almost like, well, my experience doesn't quantify to somebody who's been doing this longer. So I must not really be, this must just be like a fluke, or I must not really be good enough to actually be doing this. It's a strange thing to feel, and I feel like a lot of people do feel it but don't acknowledge it.
Oh yeah, I get that 100%. Just purely getting the job for me, I auditioned for the show when I was in college, and then several years went by. And so, I after I got the job, I later found out that the job actually, the position that I was in had actually already been filled, but
Hmm.
the girl decided to go with another show. So I got into this headspace of like, well, golly, like the timing was kind of strange. So maybe it just was pure luck. And,
Yep.
I actually didn't get the gig. Someone just so happened, the timing just worked out where she didn't want the gig and
Mm.
I was the replacement. So,
Right.
I just got to a space where I felt like I didn't earn it. And,
Mm.
like it wasn't the Lord. It wasn't, my talents.
Mm-hmm.
It just was just luck, just a good time and working out in your favor this one good time, but it
Mm-hmm.
probably is a fluke.
Yeah.
So I definitely got into that space just coming in. Like it
Yeah.
just immediately didn't feel like it was for me or it was
Yeah.
mine. That
It
sucks.
does suck. But I feel like the a big thing that was just I feel like was revealed to me is like you can like because everybody experiences imposter syndrome, it can be anything. Like it can be because you got the job too soon. It could be because you got the job too late. It
Hmm.
could be because you replaced somebody. It could be because it's new and oh well I'm new, so that it's just a new show. That's why they couldn't find anyone better. Or oh
Right.
I'm just a replacement. So that's how I feel like we know that those thoughts are not true
Right.
because everybody is spinning that you have
That
to
same
spin the
narrative.
tail right and
Exactly.
it can be any situation like
Right.
you can't win like so
Right.
that's how you know that it's a lie and those are
Right.
like the trick of the enemy to be like
Right.
it's not everybody is not getting it because it's not it's if everybody's experiencing that then that means that we're all have this like little glitch in our minds that makes us feel like we're not good enough when the truth of the matter is that if you were meant to have it then
It's
you have it which it
yours.
means and if you're in it it means you were
You're meant to
ready
be there.
and like
Yeah.
even like coming because mine too was out of the pandemic so that was another layer oh well pandemic people are still kind of scared and
Yeah.
but that's not really true people were dying to get back on stage and to
Hmm.
be in
Hmm.
so it's like the layers that we end up adding onto it that is just like none of that is true
Yep.
and I
Doesn't
don't know
matter.
why we do that or spin that tail which
Yeah.
then turns into
And then
like this
even, I mean, I know everyone's not spiritual or everyone doesn't believe in God per se, but maybe some sort of higher being. But we always abandon like divine order. It's
mm-hmm.
like, no, it's not a fluke. No, it's not luck. No, it just so didn't happen to. No, there are no coincidences. It was divine order.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things had to align perfectly for you, the one unique you, to get this position.
Yeah.
So we never celebrate that. We always look at it like, oh well, this one girl, she had to leave the job and go somewhere else, so I
Right.
was a fill-in. But
Or
you know,
like
we
you
always take
force
the negative
somebody
side.
yeah like you force like nobody I don't think majority of people never force someone's hand like you're casting me now like
Yeah.
it was not you didn't sleep with nobody to get it you didn't
Yeah.
have a friend who knew a friend you auditioned like everybody else and the timing worked as it was meant to because our
Exactly.
paths are laid out for us
Exactly.
but
Because who's to say, if you got it too soon or if you got it too late, like who's to say that you actually weren't ready in that moment for real? So
yeah
yeah, we don't give enough credit to divine order.
yeah
Like it's meant to be, it is yours. So stop
mm,
tripping and do your thing.
period
Yeah, so for me, or did you have any others? Like, I mean, I know it's a long laundry list. We can bounce back and forth. Were there any other moments, like now that you're in the show, are there any other moments where you have, you find yourself feeling like a fraud?
Mm, yeah, I think it's strange because you feel like that getting it, and then you feel okay and feel accomplished once you kind of maybe hopefully kind of overcome that, and then you're doing it every day, and then people keep being like, "Oh my gosh, how's the show?" But because it's so repetitive and it becomes your new normal, then you have another layer of imposter syndrome where you're like, it ain't nothing. I'm just going for 2 hours
You
a
know?
day and I mean it's not that deep. And if you saw and that also encompasses like the drama
Yeah.
backstage and what's happening with management, which is another situation, and also just personal
Oh
stuff
yeah.
that life gets rough. So I
Yeah.
feel like you think about it and then there's that which I've also felt, which is like I'm not really, and that is the one that's worse, I think, because
Yeah.
that's day to day, and that's
Right.
and people are constantly, or even when people would come to see me, like I think for a minute there, I was almost like I don't want people to come see me because I don't feel like sometimes I don't feel that I can be as creative as I would like to be, because our show's
Mm.
really specific and it's a
Mhm.
beautiful show. It's
Mhm.
beautifully directed and done. But, doing the same thing over and over does kind of get tiring. So you have to, as an artist, figure out ways to keep it fresh. And that's something I'm still learning, as this is my first
Yeah.
professional contract. But it's
Yeah.
like, for a minute I was like, oh, like, don't, I'm just,
Agreed.
it's not like, and they're like having the time of their lives and family is like dying to come see
Yeah.
me. And I'm
They
like,
remind you of the beauty of what you're doing.
exactly,
Yeah.
because it's new to them. But when it
Yeah.
becomes kind of common to you, it
Yeah.
gets a little clouded.
A hundred
So,
percent. I feel like that's almost what you were just expressing is kind of inevitable because
mm,
at the end of the day, you're filling a job.
yeah.
And as adults, that's what we do. We occupy jobs. So the redundance, the annoyance, all the things come with being in a job position versus, we're artists and we create magic for people and we change lives
Mm,
all the time, every single day that we go on there. Like it's magical for people. And I think we lose sight of that because we're filling a position, like we're just going to work and,
right.
but for me, some ways that I've kind of overcome that, or I've tried to overcome that feeling of just being stagnant and bored. I look into the eyes of the people out in the audience.
Mm,
You'll always find someone at the show who's crying or who's singing along
mm,
or whose eyes are just twinkling, seeing it for the first time, looking at a little child, the way they like just are in awe of the people. And that is what I lock in on. I'm like, oh, like I make a whole narrative around it. Like this is their first time. They're here with their grandma. I don't know these people at all. But I'm gonna show out for this little girl. I'm gonna show out
yeah.
for her and her grandma.
Yeah.
So that's what brings me back. Like I have to like pour into and drink from the audience members that come.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that keeps me going.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
That's
let me
deep.
not trip. Like
No, that's deep.
obviously my castmates and the storytelling. That's the other thing. I think it sometimes, and I'm just being biased here, but I do think it depends on the story that you are telling.
Yeah.
The integrity behind it. Do you believe in it? Like, is it good? Is it rich with culture? Is it something
Mm-hmm.
you actually can relate to? Those are driving forces that can kind of keep you locked in
Yeah.
and be a constant reminder that, look, I'm actually changing lives. I'm actually being impactful to the world because this is necessary. So
Mm-hmm.
those are little things that really keep me going
Keep you,
because,
yeah,
ooh, child, you can really,
get lost in the sauce.
oh yeah,
You
oh
can,
yeah.
yeah.
And even like, so again, I've been in the show for a long time. And even now, like I have these moments where just simply having the dressers zip me up, or
Mm.
like, when we get our makeup done, by the makeup artist, that even feels like, oh, girl, that's okay. I got it. Oh,
Right.
that's okay. No, no, no. Let me not waste your time. Like even in moments like that, I still feel like, it's not, I'm not a part of, a well-oiled beautiful machine, like
Mm.
I just feel like I'm in someone's way or I'm inconveniencing someone, so let me do my best to just kind of straighten up versus, no, girl, you've been in this show for this amount of time, you earned this, they're just helping you expedite the magic, like they're
Mm.
trying to hurry up and get you out on the stage so that you can make some beautiful things,
Yeah.
not that you're a burden, not that you don't, like you just a diva here need to be zipped up.
Right.
So even like little moments like that kind of lace in on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to a podcast and I forget which one it was. I think it's Stuck by Damon. Oh, I forgot his last name. I'm wilding. I'm tripping. Anyway, he's a writer for New York Times, and
Mm.
he kind of discussed this new term going around, and it was called post brokenness stress disorder or post traumatic brokenness syndrome. And it's kind of self
What?
explanatory
Yeah.
to the point where it's that feeling of, before when you were in a place where you weren't making money or you didn't have the financial means, you had this mindset of save money or do the
Mm-hmm.
minimal activities so that you can hold on to your last dime. But then when you get to a place where you are financially stable, you're still stuck in that broke man's
Oh
mindset,
yeah,
so to
poverty
speak.
mindset.
Yes.
Yeah.
That even creeps in sometimes. Like, for instance, there have been moments, and still, again, like I've been in this show for it's going on a decade. Like, what,
Wow. Yeah.
girl? You're not broke.
Right.
You're not broke.
Right.
But I have these moments where, I get manis and petties, or I get my hair done. And honestly, I don't get on my nails and my hair done often. Like, I know most people, I know a lot of women get it done like weekly,
Yeah.
bi-weekly, but I'm like, actually it's periodically. And in the moments when I do that, I have guilt where I'm like, ooh, all right, this is a treat for myself.
Mm.
And I don't want to go too crazy.
Yeah.
Girl, it ain't nothing but a good, what, $50,
Yeah.
$80.
Yeah.
Well, low key though, getting your nails and your hair done these days is kind of expensive.
Yeah, it'll run you a couple hundred.
Yeah, but it ain't gonna put a dent in, in
The
whatever.
savings and stuff you have. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So even moments like that where I'm like, this is maintenance. Like, it's your face. Like, your
Mm-hmm.
face is your brand. So
Mm.
don't look at it like you're splurging on yourself,
Right.
like broke man mindset.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
yeah,
feel
that
that.
creeps in a lot. Where
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, you ain't got to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You can get a
Right.
salad. You can get a
See,
steak.
I
It's
don't
fine.
have issues with that. Like, I'm fully like, will treat myself. Like, I'm gonna get my stuff done. I'm gonna get my toes
Yeah.
done. But I think it can kind of creep in as far as when I go out of town or things like that. Like when I go and I'm like I went to Miami for a couple days for my
Okay.
birthday, or like when I've gone on vacations, and it's like when people are really, it's one thing because I've always kind of done like nails and toes with my mom and stuff
Mhm.
like that, like getting my hair because I have natural braids, stuff like that. Like I'm always doing that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
I don't really feel too deep about that, but I do feel that sometimes when I go out of town and I'm really trying to disconnect from the show,
Okay.
and from the city too,
Mhm.
and then I feel like I remember the first big vacation I went on for a week with my family. I felt I couldn't stop thinking about the show. Like I was literally still felt like I
Obsessed.
had a show that night, and I was like, it's like so weird to be here and not have to go to the show tonight. Like I keep thinking, or I keep looking at the clock and being like, oh, right now they will be at this number. Like, oh, now it's an intermission. Like, I wonder what
We
they're
are
doing. Like,
residing
I'm
in your
like,
mind, honey.
like I was dreaming about it. Everything. I'm like, this is crazy. So to disconnect, then I definitely feel that for like
Yeah.
people really treating you and really trying to disconnect is like, well, I built myself up on like this whole mindset and feeling like this is super important and trying to, find identity. And
Right.
I feel like that's another big thing with imposter syndrome is really like whatever, you believe we, are Christians or um more subscribed to the Lord and to reading the Bible and building yourself up on that. And so when I think about that, that's where I find identity. And so
Mm.
I'm like, instead of all this other stuff that can cloud my judgment and, well, do I deserve this? Am I worth? I'm not really doing that much. I mean, I don't deserve this whole vacation and
Mhm.
this and that. Like you do. And to fight the imposter syndrome, I feel like what I have done is try to find more of my identity in the Lord,
Come
because I
on.
feel like that's the most consistent thing and the solid rock on which I stand.
Come on.
So I'm like, it's hard though, because you do also have other things and, other people, and you're trying to reach out and you don't want to be oppressive and you don't want to be oppressed yourself. So you kind of, I think it's a lot of stuff that happens and goes on in the city, and it's
Yeah.
just, it can be overwhelming at times. And so you
Right.
kind of get lost in all that too. So it's, coming back to that solid,
That core.
firm foundation is
Yeah.
fight that imposter syndrome.
Because he's above all, honey.
Right. Amen.
Yeah, but I think a lot of my, what is it, the post brokenness stress disorder
Mm.
comes from the fact that I actually did struggle here in New York. Like, I
Yeah.
was a true struggling artist. Like,
Mm.
I came in through college, and that was fine. I was still supported by my family, but once I graduated, I was making a little bit of money, but it wasn't a whole lot to, make ends meet. I actually was on welfare, like I
Wow.
actually had to go to the office and apply and all the things. So yeah, I actually was a struggling artist, and it was hard to break out of that mindset because I'd grown a rhythm of being broke and how to survive,
Yeah.
So yeah, that actually does play a part. We glamorize being a struggling, starving
Right.
artist, but it ain't
It's
cute.
rough. Yeah.
And it's hard to divorce from,
Yeah.
truth be told. I feel like there should be more, I don't know, maybe a therapist that you work with or a seminar or something in how to, disassociate from that particular lifestyle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very real.
Wow.
It is very real.
I think too, we were gonna touch on like working in such a corporate
Yes.
structure, because I think that's a
Even
whole different
that.
ballgame. That's what I was touching on before, of like kind of feeling creatively stunted sometimes,
Yeah.
because like,
Not feeling true, like a true artist.
right, because you have parameters, and there's different levels, right? So like when you are performing or opening a show, original show or something, you still have your parameters, but it's a little more, I mean, from my understanding, I haven't
Hmm.
done any original
Hmm.
works, but
Hmm.
from my understanding, it's a little bit freer, but especially joining such a legacy, and it's so beautiful, but they have a formula that works. And so we need to follow that formula.
Right. Even down
So
to the voice. Like,
yeah.
I remember, the Simbas and the Nalas. Like, if you can't hit the exact note that 10 people back hit, then the next person
Yeah.
who can hit this note.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like being internal, and, we're all grateful for the opportunity, but it does kind of get you in a place where it's like, oh man, like, I can't really show up as my true, authentic self
Yeah.
because we're a part of this machine
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then when you relate to other artists in the same industry and beyond, you do almost feel a little bit insecure.
Mm-hmm.
You almost feel
Or
like you're a little bit left
inferior, kind of.
behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, like inferior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you glamorize them being their true selves and gigging and
Mm-hmm.
doing the thing, but maybe on the flip side, they're glamorizing the fact that we have the stability
Yeah.
and
There's
we have the
always pros
steady
and cons.
income.
Always,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I
That's
think
so
about that, and
real.
it's like, as much as sometimes it feels a little bit difficult to be in that environment, it is extremely stable. And as much as it might be fun and fulfilling to be able to really explore creatively, you might not have the same stability. So I think it's
Right.
balance. And I think there's ways to find, you just have to know, I feel like, that you have to take charge of your artistry at all times. So if you can't,
Right.
like, if you aren't getting it from work, then you better be in like an acting class or
Yeah.
taking dance classes to be able to express, because what you don't want, and what I feel like a lot of people experience or are currently experiencing, is resentment.
Yes.
And just, and then it makes work miserable, and it makes everybody else's life miserable. Like, nobody
Yeah.
wants that. Some people are
Toxic.
there, some people are new, some people are, people find joy in different ways, but I think it's your responsibility as an artist, but also as a human being, to
Yeah.
figure out what you need to do to be able
Stay
to show
hungry.
up, right, and find it. Either you can find it within the show. Some people do that. Some people find some, like what you were saying, somebody in the audience to perform for every night. Some people watch other performers and be like, ooh, I love like
Yeah.
that quality you have, I'm gonna strive for that. Or I
Right.
love, or you find it outside and you come to
Yeah.
work and you do what you need to do because that's what they've instructed you to do. And then you go out and you do a workshop, or you do, other things, or even
Right.
self-made stuff. Like, even this is something
Yeah.
that's a creative outlet that I feel is so inspiring to be able to do, because that gives you something else. Like, you just can't, I'm already
Consume
touching in
yourself.
my tithes and offering. I'm sorry.
Come
But like,
on.
you can't put all your eggs in one basket, and you can't put all your hope into one
Right.
outcome. And yeah, so I feel like
No, it is so
that's a
true.
huge part.
You have to stay hungry. You have to stay fed, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Like it's fun to just recharge, and it's refreshing. To
Yeah.
get out there and to just do something else. Even within the Broadway community, they have these fundraisers every year, 3 times a year, maybe more, where they give people an opportunity to either choreograph or perform with different choreographers in the industry and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a wonderful way to get yourself, if you find yourself in the on a Broadway show in the Broadway community, but you're looking for an outlet. That's a wonderful way, easy, quick way to have an outlet to your artistry and reinventing yourself, or just getting a recharge or a reboot.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways,
Yeah.
but just stay hungry, stay fed is definitely the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's the offering early, but
Amen. Yeah. And stay humble, because I feel like networking is such a big thing too. And you won't
Yeah.
know until you meet somebody who gives you this, or gives you a class, or lets you in a class for free,
Right.
and you're like, oh, and then you find friends, and then you find a new community within that, which I think helps with some of the loneliness and the confusion, and just having people to relate to. Like, I feel like we talk about this a lot, like our or the younger generations, or my generation, struggling to find support and having a lot of mental health issues and things like
Yeah.
that. And I feel like there's a couple ways to aid in that, but I think one of the biggest ones is support, and really
Yeah.
reaching out and not letting social anxieties and things kind of overtake you with
And
with
make you feel isolated.
right, with technology and
Yeah.
everything, just sitting at home and scrolling TikTok or just ordering food and never, like, you gotta meet some people, you gotta go out to coffee with somebody,
Right.
you gotta just try. And I think, I
Right.
know for me, like, being in like an acting class and like being able to talk to somebody about my feelings and them completely relating, and like it instantly weighed off my chest. Like, I'm like,
Yeah. It's
wow,
like,
that was
you
so
too?
nice to be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
even just like 5-minute conversation before we go in and do our scenes. I'm all nervous, but just the fact that I could like talk to you, and I told you how I felt,
Yeah.
and you said at this point when you first started you felt the same, as like more than enough to make
Right.
me, to calm my
Even
spirit.
like that, I mean, in light of imposter syndrome, like walking into an audition room, you immediately get intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
You see the people standing behind the table looking unbothered, like I guess their coach just have blank faces, no expression.
Right.
So you're immediately thinking you're getting on their nerves. And then you look
Mm-hmm.
around the room as a dancer, you see people stretching, got their little 6 o'clock up, doing their turn,
6 o'clock.
looking like they that girl, they that dude. So
Yeah.
you immediately get into this space of intimidation. But if you just have a conversation with these people, honey, everybody's nerves torn up.
Yeah.
Everybody trying to show out. Like they doing that turn so they don't cry in the corner. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like you
Yeah.
realize it brings the human element back.
Yeah.
And it brings your nerves down to say, like, okay, I'm not the only one. Like
Yeah.
we all are in the same space, but a lot of people putting up a front. So, what's your front? Fine,
Yeah.
put it up. But just understand that everyone's basically on one accord with
Mm.
being a human being. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And even life is the biggest inspiration. Like I was reading this book and I'll mention it later, but one of the chapters just talks about how as an artist you should unplug from
Yeah.
time to time.
Yeah.
Like you like to think us as artists, we're almost aligned with like scholars or like intellectuals.
Mm.
um, I guess from a standpoint of we're always seeking information to inspire us. So we're always watching and reading and, doing all the things where we're tapped in intellectually.
Right.
Well, she was mentioning how sometimes we actually it's more helpful to let some of that stuff go and to
Mm.
actually look around you, like take the earplugs out and listen or stop reading. You don't need to digest all that information and just look at the surroundings and you'll get the most minute realistic inspiration, and it carries because it's so real. People
Right.
can connect to it because they actually
It's real
experience the
life.
same things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's deep.
boy, yeah.
Yeah. That's really deep.
Even also, being a Broadway performer, like you also get these moments where you're like, whew, well, let me save my money. Let me do this. Let me get this out the way because surely this show's not going to last this long. And
Oh
being in a
yeah.
long lasting
Oh
show,
yeah.
you're like, surely this is the year, like
Right.
you hate to get in that space. And I can imagine if you're on an even shorter contract or if you're in a brand new show, like just that anxiety surrounding around, oh, Lord, the company manager want to have a meeting, like wonder what
Oh
this is
my
about.
gosh.
So
Yeah.
it just comes in all different shapes, forms, and facets that we just
Yeah.
have to stay vigilant and
Yeah.
just continue to keep ourselves focused and inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I think yeah, we kind of touched on it, but social media, like you said, unplugging is huge. Like
Yeah.
actually talking to people is huge. Like mentors, or even just
Seriously.
like you don't have, I don't think you have to have a mentor, but knowing people who can connect you will automatically kind of put those people in your
100%.
circle to kind
That's
of
like a
give you,
built-in network.
right, to give you, what you need, and just encouragement too.
Yeah.
So,
And even like, okay, so I'm a millennial. I'm a little bit seasoned, but
work.
to look at.
Not at
But
all.
even getting into this space where I feel I've truly grown with something. Like I came in immature and, inexperienced,
Mm.
and I have morphed. And now I'm looking back and I see that the changes have happened
Yeah.
because of the new people coming in, like the younger people coming in.
Mm.
So now I'm seeing myself reposition into the seasoned experienced person,
Right.
the go-to.
Yeah.
But even in being in that space, which is wonderful, it's a beautiful thing to be able to grow in something and to change and grow up and to extend that, whatever that experience is. So yeah, just aside from I am really leaning into getting inspiration from people who are younger than me and who are newcomers because it's so refreshing and it's so dope. You want to stay up with the times, and I say that to also say I have come to a point where I'm about to phase out of this chapter of my life and my
Mm,
career, and just the thought of like, what does that look like,
yeah.
is coming with a lot of what I would deem some imposter syndrome and some sort of insecurity that comes with that. Just the thought of, well, this is all I know. I don't know anything else. I won't be good at anything else. And,
Mm,
nothing else will inspire me. There's nothing else creative that's lucrative. And I find myself feeling like I need to start from the bottom up. And I don't want to do that, so it's impossible. And all of
yeah.
these deep insecurities flare up and become discouraging, even when it comes to networking. Like I found myself in the room not too long ago, the other day actually, with some people at one point in my career made me feel a little insignificant and insecure. And this is actually a turn for the better. I, for the first time in my career, it didn't phase me. Like they just
Wow.
were human beings. You're just a woman. You're just a guy. Um, and it was nothing to just go up to them and just talk to them like, "Hey, how you doing?" and be my authentic self. Like one of the people that I came across, they were like, "Oh, you still so and so?" And I'm like, "Girl, yes." I said it just like that. Never would I have ever done that at any other time in my career.
Right.
I would have become more professional and, pulled up, buttoned up.
Mhm.
And I was like, girl, yes, I've been over there getting the dime, just was
Yeah.
very casual. And it felt good. It
Yeah.
felt good for once to just make people human, normalize being human,
Mhm.
just she might have just genuinely been asking how you doing, not trying to size me up or figure me out. And, I
Yeah.
didn't have anything to leverage anyway. So who cares? Just talk, just be a human being. So
Yeah.
that felt really good.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. But just going back to, trying to get back in new spaces to network and to redefine, a new career. What does that look like?
Mm.
What am I going to have to do? Like these sort of things are starting to come back up. And so I'm trying to like coach myself to just stay in that space from the other day. It's just a human, just doing their job. No one's
Mhm.
here. All they can do is say no.
Yeah.
Um, not get into that 20-year-old self of, oh, woe is me. Oh my gosh, I'm insignificant. Oh, I don't deserve to be here. This
Mm.
table's not for me. Well, girl, build your own table.
Right. I
So,
feel like that does really connect with imposter syndrome too, though, because I think the insecurity that is interlaced is that everybody else is having the same thoughts that you're having
yes.
about yourself, when that's not true.
If we just got into each other's minds more, the world would be such a better place.
Yeah.
When
If we
when we
just
eliminate, we
communicated
just
and
communicate.
we're honest and humble
Right.
about what's really going on.
Yeah, and I do love where the world is going, society's going right now. People are becoming much more open and transparent and
Yeah.
real. So that's really great because it lends to, we're all going through the same old stuff, maybe in different ways, but it's the same stuff.
Yeah.
So nobody's better than anybody else. There's
Mm-mm.
only one higher being, honey.
Come on.
And it ain't you or me
Right.
or them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So since we were talking about the networking, do you think that being raised in the South affects your, I guess, ability, or you ever feel like intimidated by the networking because we're used to kind of slower rather than such a fast
Yeah.
paced industry?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. And I had to really stop and think about this one day. I honestly do think um, the the places where you are raised does kind of influence how you show up in certain rooms.
Yeah.
And I definitely think for me personally, I cannot speak for all Southern people or even you, but for me personally, I do feel like there have been plenty of moments and even maybe even today where there's certain spaces where I walk into and I immediately feel inferior because I come from a place that's much more easygoing and slow paced, and I
Yeah.
already feel like, well, they grew up here, so they have
The
they
upper
have an upper
hand.
hand,
Yeah.
right? Or they went to these schools, so they're already hip to this game, and
Yeah.
and then people also put on a lot of people, and especially in the entertainment industry,
Mhm.
have some people carry themselves with this like pompous attitude or arrogant attitude that's, quite frankly, it is unattractive, and it's a turnoff, but you almost feel like you got to play the game.
You're right.
You got
Yeah.
to like measure up. And I feel like that's just for me. I don't come from that world. I come from a place where people are genuine. They show up as their true selves, whether it's the right thing for the moment or not. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, in those same spaces, people understand and they accept you for who you are. And
Yeah.
or if it's something where you need to learn something, they just teach you. It ain't nothing to it. They don't have to
Mm.
feel above you or whatever. But I feel like when you come to these big cities, you do have to play these games of like measuring up or acting so, like I'm an expert in this.
Right.
And yeah, it is immediately intimidating, and for me it's a put off. It doesn't encourage me to want to be around those people, work with that person. So yeah, it does show up. I can't
Yeah.
even deny, being from the South, it was an adjustment for me where
Yeah.
made me feel a little inferior at times. What about you?
I don't know. I think I definitely get what you're saying. And I felt that from different people at times. Like, okay, I can tell. Like, I want a little bit of space from you because we're not in the same headspace.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I'm looking forward to the end of this year and next year as I'm like branching out more. Um, but I feel like, I don't know, it might be different with more of a dance background than musical theater,
Okay.
but I think especially the like performers, once you actually talk, like they really wear their heart, like just corny. Like we all are just like silly. And so it never, even if you think somebody's like that, it's always, they, most of the time,
Yeah.
at least in my experience, they've ended up being more humble than any, and you're like, oh, I never would have expected. Like,
Yeah.
I'll shout her out because I'm really excited that I am like friends with her now. But Emily, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. The young black woman who was in the Phantom in
Oh
the opera that just
yes.
closed.
Yes.
She's in an acting class with me, and like I remember knowing her and meeting her a couple times through our mutual friend
Okay.
who's in the show with us, and being like, I feel like we'll be close, but I hadn't really talked to her and whatever. And then this acting class, like the first day we just talked, and like she walked me to the train, and like people, I don't know, I just feel like people have stuff going on. So
Yeah.
it's like, you think like she's just running off, and she ends up being so nice, and through other conversations knowing that we kind of are going through similar things and
Yeah.
just stuff like that. So I feel like the networking is a little less intimidating, because I think when music theater, other than like maybe big wig like producers or
Okay.
people above, like
Yeah.
as far as like general other like cast members or other performers,
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
pretty
Yeah,
tame.
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely can say I don't think it's the same, or it doesn't give the same appeal in the dance world. And I'm hesitating right now because I'm trying to understand why in the moment of actually saying this. What I'm arriving at is um, we are highly critiqued, like
Yeah.
from your eyelashes to your toenails,
Yeah.
honey. We are highly critiqued constantly. It never turns off. There's always a correction, there's always a rehearsal. And so that creates almost this competitiveness that never goes away.
Hmm.
I think the advantage for myself, personally speaking, um, I went to a conservatory, a well-known school, Alvin Ailey School, the Ailey
Hmm.
School. Going to an institution like that and kind of growing up with these people, you find that the same people you went to school with, you'll come across them again in the profession, like,
Hmm.
because we're all performing at the highest level, from the educational level up to professionalism. So to grow up with these people, it kind of, it makes them more human, like, as I keep saying. So you can almost, it organically just works,
Right.
basically. So there isn't that attitude between a person that you already know, because like, girl, We
I
grew up
know
together.
you. Right.
I saw you when you were at the
Right.
bar struggling. You know what I mean? Like, so we see each other at that point. But
Right.
I can't imagine how it may feel coming outside of that, because I'm sure it exists for sure.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily say I feel it all the time, because I did have an advantage in that respect of going to school with some of these people who I now work with. But I'm positive it happens,
Yeah.
in audition spaces, because we do kind of have to, and it might just be some sort of like, um, I don't even know the word I'm trying to arrive at, but some way to build up our confidence, like some sort of definitely a front to just to continue to like feed ourselves, to make ourselves feel good, because
Yeah. Well,
we
when
are
you
constantly picked apart.
yeah, and
And
when
if
you
you
think about y'all's field, it's very they I don't even know the right word. It's almost disposable. Like I think for dancers,
yes,
that mentality is required to keep you on top of it, because they, as unfortunate as it is, treat dancers so much differently than maybe
yep,
singers or actors, and
yep,
they are not as coveted, I think, or as appreciated as they
wow,
should be. So I think y'all, it's only right. Like that's a survival technique in and of itself, to have
100%.
people always on you, because if you don't, they'll
They'll
toss you
find
out the
someone
back, and
else
it's
like
like
that.
immediate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that definitely
Yeah. So
that
yeah, that shows up amongst us, like that competitiveness. And sometimes it's cool competitiveness. Like there's nothing wrong with having a little edge and,
yeah.
going toe to toe trying to keep up, or, pushing someone. But yeah, I think you're 100% right. Like it just shows up in way too many ways. We can't
Yeah.
live, child. Can't just
I
dance.
know. I'm like, oof. It
Rough.
gets rough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are in the ghetto, honey.
Yeah. But that's why you gotta be the light. You
Amen.
show up.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's imposter syndrome on our
All
end.
right.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, that was good
Yeah,
though.
I didn't cry. You didn't
I
cry.
didn't cry.
Okay,
I
we
thought I was gonna
survived.
cry. Even thinking about what I was gonna talk about, I was like,
you
I
know,
started tearing up. I was like, Jesus.
I know. I was like, girl, keep it together. But
Yeah.
no, but it's a real conversation and it's necessary. And yeah, although it's not emotional, but it's meaningful. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you shared, and
Yeah.
I have someone to share
Yeah.
something with.
And
Like,
we hope that you all will share too, if you have feelings or things that you
absolutely.
connect or relate to, then 100%.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear from you, because we're always looking for that. Oh, you too. That reason to connect.
Connection.
So
Yeah.
we're not
100%.
alone.
No one's alone.
It's music
It's music time.
time.
Okay, it's your turn to pick
All right.
today.
Let me dig
I'm
in the
nervous.
bowl of
I wrote
magic.
these a long time ago. Lord.
Okay, let me see what I got. I got two. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Gospel.
Of course. Last week was disco, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last week was
Okay.
disco. All right, hold on, let me think about my song.
Lord.
Okay, so as a reminder, this is our music game where we will pick a genre out of the bowl at random,
Mhm.
and we both will hum out or sing out a song that comes to our mind. The other person has to guess.
Title and artist.
Yes, and the year that it came
And the
out,
year.
if you can. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
we
years.
we'll share, but
Okay.
if you can, if
Yeah.
you're that fierce.
Mark. Okay. Gospel, Lord.
Okay, let me think.
Okay.
I don't know.
I have one.
You do?
It's basic, but I do have. It's gonna be easy, but it's one I've been listening to a lot.
Okay. Wait, I gotta even think about the title of my song that I'm thinking of. Hold on. And you'll probably help me when you get it. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay, go.
Okay. It's
I don't need the words. Forever we worship you. Oh, Hosanna forever we worship you. What's the name of that song? Hosanna?
Uh-huh.
It is.
Yeah.
Is it Hosanna? Hosea?
No, Hosanna.
Hosanna. Okay, I'm tripping.
Hosanna forever.
Is it Ezekiel Walker and the gang?
No, you're very close though. It's when you love. You always listen to him.
Fred Hammond?
No, India.
Kirk Franklin?
Yes.
I'm tripping. That was actually the first thing. I'm like, no, it can't be Kirk Franklin.
Always
let me
first
spread
instinct.
it out.
Yeah, you were right.
It is Kirk Franklin, and
But
that's
I
so
don't know
funny.
the year 2000 probably.
Okay, what's it?
Something.
Okay, let me see.
Hosanna, yeah.
Hosanna forever.
I was listening to Israel Houghton or I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but his version of it, which is like not same version, but his song that has Hosanna, because that's like one of the names of God.
Yeah.
And it was really beautiful. But I was listening to it when I was doing my Bible study, and then it just did its like shuffle, and I was like, Hosanna.
Yes,
Like,
I love it.
Get into it.
I love it. Okay, let me see. Is this the right song? Hosanna. It's not coming up, honey.
What? No.
Hosanna lyrics is coming up. I don't know when this song was made.
Hosanna song by Kirk Franklin. You
got
2002.
2002.
Because it was on the Rebirth album.
Okay. All right. Here's mine.
Y'all know this one.
Dang, I don't even know the title or the year of this one, but here we go. This is what's coming to my spirit. I swear I'm a saint, y'all. I don't know.
I'm gonna need to listen for real because I don't know. Okay. Sanctuary, we lift our hands to give you the glory. It's just we lift our no. Jesus, we give you the praise. Emmanuel? No. Heavenly Father, come Messiah. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. Yes,
we will praise you.
Who sings that?
Praise you for the. I don't know, child.
I have that one on my.
Wait, hold on.
No.
So I'm not playing the game very well today.
No, because you don't know song name,
Jesus,
title.
We give will you praise. Emmanuel, lift up your name
for the rest of our days.
Maybe for
in the sanctuary. In the sanctuary. Kurt Carr, yes.
Kurt Carr, what year?
It doesn't have the year, but that's
okay.
I'm glad we even got that.
The irony of this is we love the Lord, and I love me some gospel. I'm sure you do too, but we are really trash on this.
This is 2000. Album is 2000. Awesome Wonder 2000. I know all these. This is good because I know these songs, and
but I think the thing with that is year. Girl, any given black church anywhere can go off on a song.
So you don't
really quite know.
All the groups, I never know the groups.
Yeah.
I'm like, they all
just
singing.
like Kurt Franklin and them. I don't know. I don't know. So, okay, that was cute. That was fun. Nice. I was trash, but whatever.
No, it's fine. Better luck next week.
Okay. Again, write in your suggestions below.
Oh, yeah.
Anywhere of our podcast platforms or on YouTube, so you can participate. It'd be much more fun.
Yeah.
Join in on the fun for sure.
Yeah, that would be cute.
And we done arrived at the final segment.
Tithes and offerings.
Tithes and offerings. Tithes and offerings. We should probably put a little song in.
Yeah, that, huh? I want to figure something out. Because I tried to sing something last week and I was like, I forgot the melody.
Girl, don't play yourself. Sydney can sing. Don't let her play, y'all. She can sing. Yeah.
Okay, so
what you got?
I already kind of touched on mine, so I guess I'll start. I was watching Stephen Furtick. He's the pastor of Elevation Church, which they have a few different campuses, but based in North Carolina.
Okay.
And he was he just is always on time, and he's a mentor. He was mentored by TD Jakes, so I feel that it just works, but it's not really traditional because he's white, and so I was like, I don't know, but I found him through an Easter service during the pandemic. I'm just being honest. White. Like I'm partial to the people of color.
Yes.
But anyway, so I love him. I love like all his stuff, always on time, very spirit led. Like my spirit is very connected, and so he was talking about doubts and disappointments. Mm-hmm. And the main point that he said to write down, which was so deep, was what I had said before, don't put all of your hopes into one outcome. And he was talking about how to avoid disappointments. And the truth is that you can't live your life trying to make sure that people don't hurt your feelings or being tit for tat, and I'm just not, because then that is the recipe for resentment. Exactly. And so then you end up, I never fully gave myself, I never really experienced true love and connection. And I think that's in anything. It's in work, it's in relationships, friendships. Agreed. Like, and so he was saying kind of the solution is to diversify yourself, and to kind of that's more of like a financial term, I guess, like when you diversify your stocks or whatever, to kind of spread things out. And he was like just talking about not building your life around one particular person or thing or goal, but always putting your goals in God. I know God is in this. God's going to provide. God is going to, he's working through this. I'm learning through this. And I've been using a lot of that language
Amen.
around a lot of the stuff I've been doing lately, because it's like when you try to, anything in your own strength is going to fail. That's just it.
That's life. It's inevitable.
And that's
there's a lesson in failure.
Right.
So I'm not going to say you just welcome it with open arms, but you certainly don't try to avoid it.
Yeah. So that was my thing. And that really blessed me, because I think I get a little bit overwhelmed and I want things to work out a certain way so badly. And then I start trying to do things in my own strength, and like emotionally, or really trying to, just because I'm present and stuff doesn't mean that it's going to work out the way I want it to work out. It's going to work out the way he planned for it to work out.
That's
and
right.
that you have to release that sense of control and all that you think that you can just make. It don't matter what you want, boo. It's gonna happen how it's meant to happen, and you'll be better for it. But it just feels so hard in the moment to be like, because sometimes you don't even realize that you're doing. This could be a whole topic, like a whole episode in of itself.
Sure.
But like, you don't even know that you're doing it because you've been doing it for so long. Yeah, and then you're like, wait, why is everything out of control? Like, let me get it, and it's like, you never had it in parameters before, but you thought you did. Right. So now I'm letting you know that you didn't, and I'm asking you to trust, and you're like walking around crazy, like you feel so lost, like you've always been like this, you just weren't aware.
I really think that's the artist in us. Like artists by nature are just very controlling. Like, because we have to be so driven in all these different avenues.
Yeah, and always, technique,
right?
And you're like
always reaching for perfectionism.
Yeah,
so,
and being a good student. Like I love school. I love to learn. So like being good, being on top of my work, like always, having that, like that has felt like that was me, like that. Right. I was in control, and it was this plus this equals this, and I had check off the box. So it's like, it's really interesting.
It's a setup sometimes.
It is. It really is.
Boy, if it doesn't come, what are you going to do? Death!
Literally, end of the world.
End of the world.
That was mine.
Something resonated when the first part of what you were saying, as far as like the way you relate to different people and what you get from different people. A good friend of mine used to always say, or not always say, but she mentioned this a couple of times. And actually, it initially offended me. But I later went back and was like, it makes sense. But she was saying, well, you have to compartmentalize friends or people in your life. Basically, know exactly what this person is in your life for, and use them specifically for that. Yep. So you don't build expectations in other areas and set yourself up for disappointment. So that kind of resonated with when you mentioned that in the beginning.
Taking stuff personal, thinking that like, well,
or even getting resentful of them because they didn't show up for you in the way that you expected them to when they didn't have the capacity to begin with. So,
100%.
Yeah.
Take people for what they are and what they can give you, and walk with that.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's your offering.
What you got for us?
So I'm reading this book, The Artist Way, right now by Julia Cameron. And it's basically it's kind of self-explanatory actually in the title. It's a spiritual path to higher creativity. So it's actually a workshop. It gives like a workbook kind of look like you would see in a school. So she challenges you to tap into your creativity. And it's mainly for people creatives or artists who find themselves stuck and in a rut. You can't quite get themselves back to, their creative juices, or even if it's someone who is accomplished, who just can't get that other project off the ground. It's been reported that it's been profound for, like, for instance, like Martin Scorsese has been someone who read the book and it actually benefited him. So yeah, I've been tapping into this, and I love this because it laces, although in the very beginning, she doesn't want to make anyone run away from spirituality. Like, if you're spiritual, amazing. This book is for you. If you aren't, stay with us because you can still get something from it. And I won't be so heavily, consumed with God. And she does mention God a lot in the book, but she's just saying whatever your higher being is fine, is welcome. She welcomes everyone. So here nor there. The basis of it, she talks a lot about like God and your spirituality and trusting in him and believing in him. This particular chapter, it's called Recovering a Sense of Possibility. And I think it kind of goes with, the topic of the day, imposter syndrome. A few passages here that resonated. The first one was one of the chief barriers to accepting God's generosity is our limited notion of what we are, in fact, able to accomplish. And
Mm.
so for me, that's just saying like we immediately come in with our insecurities and our doubts. And we don't even look at the fact that God made you special. He anointed you with this talent, and you're hindering yourself just from your mind. You know, you're
Mm.
not being used in the way He wants you to be used. Other part is we decide how powerful God is for us. We unconsciously set a limit on how much God can give us or help us. We are stingy with ourselves, and if we receive a gift beyond our imagining, we often send it back. So
Woo!
that just is imposter syndrome, just flared. The red flags are all right there, written all
Wow.
over that passage. For
Not
just
send it
that's
back.
right. Like, here
Oh
you go,
wow.
Jesus. I'm good with
Sorry,
it.
yeah, that
No,
was
I'm
too
not worthy.
much.
It's too much, honey.
Yeah.
I know you can't afford it.
Right.
Yeah, that creeps in so much. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what we were talking about. Like feeling like the timing's not right. It's too soon, or whoa, it's way too late. This isn't for us. Like, woo, honey.
And that was what that live was about. Still, it like is popping up. Like
Yeah.
that stuff from my tithes and offering last week about like you don't limit him. Like you
No,
cannot
you
limit
can't.
and say
He's limitless, honey. All of that to say, like this, the next passage, recognize that God is unlimited in supply and that everyone has equal access. This begins to clear up guilt about having or getting too much. And so, if we learn to think of receiving God's good as being an act of worship, i.e., cooperating with God's plan to manifest goodness in our lives, we can begin to let go of having to sabotage of ourselves. And then the very last thing, the solution would be, um, oh, I think I lost it. Oh, it's so much, girl. Y'all,
it looks
this book, honey, I got
the whole page is highlighted.
I just
So
got
I'm
so drowned in all this good word. So this last passage that I highlighted, when we cannot seem to find an adequate supply, this is not a solution. Let me actually back up. This is not a solution. This is what we do. This is a behavior.
Okay.
When we cannot seem to find an adequate supply, it is because we are insisting on a particular human source of supply. We must learn to let the flow manifest itself where it will, and not where we will it. So yeah, just going back to like, for instance, like the audition spaces, or that the space that I found myself in with the people who formerly intimidated me. Like we put so much weight on people and things, and we forget, as you mentioned, there's only one person who matters the most.
Come on.
And if you reconnect and tap back into him, it'll keep you back on course, with what you were led to do. You see this as a divine ordering versus an obligation or something you're not worthy of, and you get caught up very easily in worldly things. So the book is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. That's what spoke to me today. I think it aligned perfectly with this topic of imposter syndrome. Just stay focused on, the higher purpose. It doesn't even have to be God or, whatever higher being, but the higher purpose. Like even your childhood dream, the goal. Keep your eye on the prize, so to speak, and it'll just keep you on course. You won't get caught up in, the people, the attitudes, the things around you. I think that's what I got out of all of this.
Yeah.
We done poured all of the shenanigans, but to give some solution, I think that's where it lies.
Yeah.
Stay focused.
Stay focused, y'all.
Yeah.
Amen.
We done reached the end. Oh my goodness. It seems so fast.
It did. It went fast today, but it was really beautiful.
Yeah. This was a good one.
Thank y'all for tuning in.
So if you guys want to continue to watch, please subscribe. We will have the little bells that will alert you of all of our new videos and all of our latest podcasts on whatever platform you stream your podcast on. Follow us on YouTube, and we will just reside in y'all's minds.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your viewership, your listenership. I'm India.
And I'm Sydney.
This is Social Cues. And you guys remember, always make your stage cues, but remember to stay social. See y'all later.
Bye. Social Cues is hosted by India Browne and Sidney Wilson. Produced by Dale Brown and music by Isaiah Young.
Find us on social media at SocialQ2023 on Instagram and SocialQs2023 on TikTok.
Don't forget to subscribe to our page and follow us for notifications of new episodes.
Until next time.